Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you are a subscriber, I am so grateful to you, and I am now coming to you with some new content. If you're joining for the first time, you're joining at a perfect time because I am refreshing some of the information and the types of video that I share on my channel. So today we are talking about a very exciting topic, especially around this time of the year, as you're looking towards and thinking about the new year and how you can make it better. I want you to leave this video knowing and feeling that the future is bright. This is set in 2020, which has been a very challenging and a very dark year for a lot of us. And I know we are all eager to figure out what we can do to make sure that next year is a better one. The fact that this year has been such a disappointment and such a struggle for all of us, now it's really taking that understanding and deciding, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do next year to make it a better year, more productive time where we can pursue our goals and our dreams and our aspirations? So today we're going to talk about some of those things that you can do in preparation for setting yourself up to have an incredible 2021. And that is the idea of this Vision 2021 video. So let's jump right in and talk about some of these things that you can do. The first one is clarity. And by that, I mean you need to create clarity around what your vision is. It's going to be different for everyone. You can't just take one template. You can certainly get inspiration from other individuals, but you need to customize it to you and what is important to you. Think about the definition of some of the key goals that you have for next year, and I wouldn't get too bogged down in creating this long list of several different goals. Maybe just keep it to your top 3 and focus on those, because if you can get really specific and hone in on the most important things that you'd like to achieve and not spread yourself too thin, you're going to be much more likely to actually achieve those goals in the new year. Clarity of not only the quality of your year and what you can do to make it feel like a more quality year, but the clarity of your connections. What are those relationships that maybe you weren't able to foster this past year because of social distancing or other hindrances that you really want to revive? It may be with family or with friends or with your colleagues. Think about those as well, because really those relationships bring so much joy to our lives. So don't neglect to think about that. So that is the first one, is clarity. The second one I want you to consider is quality. So I mentioned it briefly actually in the first point there, but let's dive into that specifically. So this is talking about quality over quantity. I mean, how many times have you heard that? And hopefully in this portion of your life, you have come to realize that that is absolutely true. Think about the quality of your life, the quality of the work you do and the time you spend and the relationships that you foster. How do you make sure that you enhance that? Taking the people, for example, you may have had a previous goal to have the most friends, and you might already know now that that's not really ideal. It's really about the quality of just having a few really meaningful relationships, as opposed to several more superficial relationships where you don't really feel like you can talk with the people who you consider friends. They don't feel like they can talk to you. That's not really what we're going for here if we're trying to improve the quality in our overall life. And think about time as well. The time that you spend on certain things, it really, again, is about quality of the time and not quantity. That could be spending time with family, your parents, your children, and it could be with friends as well. You want to make sure that when you sit down and you set aside some time, you're not constantly looking at your phone, or your mind isn't consumed with what else you need to do on your list. it really should be focused on that person who's right in front of you right then and there. And that really speaks to living in the moment. And this is easier said than done. I am still learning this myself, but if you can really hone in on being intentional with your time, being present with the person you're with, or at the event you're attending, and waiting on those other things. If you are someone like me who gets very anxious about what else you have planned and where else you need to be after the fact, just try to make a note of it. Try to be very brief, put it in your phone, write it on a sticky note, and then let that be and get back to what you're doing. So that is another item that I would highly recommend that you review, is the quality of your relationships and of your time. We're going to talk about quality of other items as well. It could be the quality of the clothes you wear. You're probably familiar with the 10-item wardrobe and other things that really talk about having fewer things, but taking better care of them and investing in really quality items. Something that's very important to have in mind when you're thinking about quality is how you're going to measure quality. That was the second item that I listed, and I want to give a little more detail on how you can figure out what quality of life or of your current 2020 do you have right now, so that you can figure out what you would like that to be in the future and what specific changes you can make to implement that. So the idea of quality, this is a very common thing if you have been in the world of project management, for example. It's this idea, it's a term called triple constraints. And those 3 constraints that impact quality are time, cost, and scope. So we can just talk through an example of what this means, because time is about, are you going to do the work yourself versus the cost of perhaps paying someone else to do something for you? And then the scope would be the size of what you would like to accomplish. Let's just say, for example, that you want to throw a big party for your family and friends. It's going to be the event of the year, and you're really excited about that. Obviously, right now with social distancing, probably wouldn't be the best idea, but we're thinking about the future, which is so bright. So please keep that in mind, is this is not forever, and we should plan for things to get better. So, say you're throwing this big party for your family and friends, and you are really excited. You have all of these great ideas of what the decorations will be like and what people will be eating, what sort of entertainment you will have. So you've got this laundry list of all these cool things that you want to do and the music that you'll have and all of the great things that you would like to do. Once you start to think through executing this, you realize that you need to get some quotes for who is going to cater your event. Maybe you even plan to hire a musician, which I know this is talking about something that I myself would not be doing, but it's just for the purpose of this video. And then you realize once you get that first quote back that this is going to cost a little bit more than I realized. So what am I going to do? What you can do is either adjust the amount of money that you plan to spend on the event, if you happen to have it at your disposal. But if you're like me, you'll probably decide that you want to keep the budget the same, so something else has to change. If the money situation is going to remain the same, then what were those other 2 constraints? It was time and scope. So what if you want to change the time? What would that look like? The time could be a matter of, maybe if I don't have the money, I can contribute more of my time to doing some of this myself. Maybe I'll cook the food myself, or I'll create a Spotify playlist, and that will be a better solution instead of having a DJ. That is one option, and the other is scope. You might determine that, well, I wanted to have 5 or 6 different items for my family and friends, but I don't know if all of that's necessary. Let's simplify the menu a little bit to make this more doable. Now, let's say that several years from now, you are doing really well, you've started your own business, and you have lots of money at your disposal. Well, if you run into this same scenario, you might contribute more money because you have less time. You're spending all this time on your business, and you also want to protect that time so that you don't stress yourself out, and you determine that you have the funds to make that someone else's problem. You can hire someone to make the food, to put up the decorations, to provide entertainment. That means that your situation has just changed, so you have a different way of balancing quality. But you have to keep those three controls in mind so that things don't get out of balance. You have to consider time, scope, and money, and make adjustments so that the quality of your life and of your year does not diminish. And this happens to a lot of us, and I'm trying to be mindful of that as I consider next year for me. I often underestimate how much time it's going to take to do things. I'm hoping that these are providing some helpful ideas to really encourage you to think through how you can plan next year, because I truly believe that next year can be the best year yet. And the final and third point that I would share with you is connections. And I don't mean connections as in relationships. I mean connections as in connecting the dots. When you are considering the clarity and quality of what your 2021 looks like, you need to figure out how all of this actually comes together. And how do you create a more comprehensive system that allows you to be optimal in making a productive and a happy new year? Do you enjoy content like this? Is this giving you some idea of how you can better plan for next year? Give this video a thumbs up if you would like to see more of these types of videos. And until next time, stay well and don't lose sight of your Vision 2021. This is about, I don't know what it's about, I really don't. Vision 2021 is this idea of we all had these ideas and and you can probably already tell that these three items that I'm listing really tied together really well. So we started with quality. So we started with clarity of your quality and what that means to you. And it's loud outside. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's just